Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Happy New Year! Oh, you're over that? Are we over it already? Oh my gosh. We are already over the Happy New Year, and reality has set in, and now we must get to work. I will tell you that I hope your year started off as awesome as mine has, as I've given out 19. In fact, I've given out 5 referrals today, and I've given out 19 this year. And shoot, what are we? We're not even like 10 days, 11 days in yet. So what do we have a podcast? It's Referrals Podcast. Hopefully you're getting referrals. Hopefully you're learning how to get referrals from what we do. And we continue our top 10 most downloaded episodes of 2022 in just a moment. But I have to tell you that we have 30 evenings coming up. It's called Sweet Dreams. What we do is we help you build 2 of the most profound rituals in your life. One of them is the nightly ritual. We will help you actually create your own personal nightly ritual. I mean, what if you could unleash the power of a good night's sleep every single day? I mean, what we're discovering with sleep is that 1/3 of your time is sleeping, and it is an untapped power source, energy source for everything else that you do. What we've just discovered in our 30 mornings class is that you can instantly be derailed from your perfect morning ritual if you don't get a great night's sleep. So maybe in some cases, the nightly ritual is even more important than the morning ritual. So check that out at 30evenings.com. We're going to cover a nightly ritual and a Sunday night ritual, which will allow you to look at weeks like you've never looked at them before and be more productive than you've ever been before. Check it out at 30evenings.com. And if you listened to last week's Referrals podcast, you heard that this is a hot commodity type of class because the 2 episodes that came in 7th and 6th, we're talking about Sweet Dreams, our nightly ritual and Sunday night ritual class, and talking about the importance of powerful nightly rituals. So check that out. So welcome to part 2 of our top episodes of 2022 Countdown. Last week, we, of course, covered 6 through 10 of the most downloaded episodes. And this week, we cover the top 5. So let's dive right in. The number 5 episode for Referrals Podcast in 2022 was episode 233 with Lynne Fiscelli, and it was simply called Event Mastery. Check it out now. So, all right. So let's talk about, what was your first ever event that we planned in Event Mastery class for the people that are maybe newer to the podcast and ReferCo and what we do. We teach a class called Event Mastery. I actually hold people's hands through the process for 7 weeks, literally a class on Monday or Tuesday, and then a class on Friday. And the Friday is for questions and accountability. And the Monday or Tuesday, the first class is all right, this is what you need to get done this week. So for 7 weeks, I go through, all right, 7 weeks out, you need to do the planning sequence. And then week 6, 5, 4, 3, we really need to be in the invitation sequence. And then we're in the confirmation sequence. And then we have the event, and I help you with the event and the event sequence. And then, of course, the last sequence in Event Mastery is the follow-up sequence. And I talk about the 5 groups of people that you really need to follow up with. And Lynne was in this class this past fall, and I'm very curious. In fact, I'm not sure if I know what your first ever event was. What did you do for your first event?
So I met another lender who actually introduced me to 7L and your convention that you do in the fall. I took that in 2020. I loved everything about it. And from that, I learned about the events and how important it is. And so I did, my very first event was without any training. I love throwing events. Like, I'm a high energy kind of person, and events are my thing. And I'm like, I am on board. I want to do this. So I held a I Love You a Latte, and I did it in the fall. I did it at a local coffee shop. I didn't know about, Top Yap and all of that then. So I just invited my past clients, people that are in my pipeline, people that have supported me. And we had 23 people there. So I was pretty happy with that. I think my guest list was maybe around 40 to begin, to start with.
Yeah.
And
23 out of 40 is terrific. 23 at your first event. And now, was this before Event Mastery class, or was this from what you learned? Okay. So this is you learned it at the 2020 Referral Mastery Summit that, you know what, I need to be doing this. And then between 2020 and 2022, you had an I Love You Latte event, invited 40 people and got 23, right? Yep. Okay. Yep. So great turnout. And by the way, for those, Top Yap, All Yap are terms we use in 7L quite a bit. She said Top Yap, that is the yearly ambassador program for your top people, your best referral sources, your highest paying clientele, that kind of thing. And that's for the top people in your database, because the top people deserve more, quite honestly. And then there's the All Yap, which is your yearly appreciation plan for everyone. And notice the acronyms: yearly ambassador program is YAP, and yearly appreciation plan is YAP. And the All YAP is for everyone, a very public event, very invite everyone event. So I love that. So congratulations on the 23. That's fantastic. That's a great turnout.
Thank you. So so I did the invite, what I knew to do. I did. I had a great turnout. I feel like it wasn't the things that I did, but more the person that I am that got those people there. Where I dropped the ball was, yesterday in the mastermind, the fortune is in the follow-up. I dropped the ball.
Well, you really didn't know about it a lot, right? I mean, because you hadn't taken Event Mastery class. So really, you were throwing an event, honestly, like 99% of the people, when they throw an event. They do what it takes to hopefully get some people there. And then they have the event, and they're happy about the event, and they're also a little exhausted after the event, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, that's the way it is. They don't realize that there's so much more to it, and so many more opportunities with the event. And you kind of learned that over the last fall, right?
Yep, for sure.
Did you get any referrals at the first event?
I did. I got 3.
Okay.
For myself. And I know I got some. I haven't tracked it. It's on my list of things to do. I can't remember, but I think there was 3 or 4 for my lender, who was my sponsor. That event, I had 3 sponsors at.
Okay.
And I think the insurance person also got a couple.
So you had an insurance agent, mortgage professional, and yourself who threw this I Love You Latte, and this is somewhere in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. It was fall of 21. Before I took the actually, it might have been before the convention. It was between 20 and 21. I did it. And then I went to the second convention and learned more. And I don't know, sometimes you got to hear things more than once to actually sink in. And with the 2021 convention, I was so doggone excited about all of it. I signed up for Catalyst. I didn't have the money to sign up for Catalyst because my husband hasn't been working, and I just trusted that God would provide. Best decision I've made is Catalyst, and then all of the things that you do for us with, the event mastery, and I love it. Like, I want to do all of the things, but I just can't yet.
Yeah, just one thing at a time, right?
Yep.
Let's focus on what's next. And so, all right. So then fast forward to the fall of 2021 and our fall event mastery. So we do event mastery in the spring, we do it in the summer, and we do it in the fall, right? So we help people do their 3 events that they should be doing. So we did event mastery in the fall after Referral Mastery Summit. You signed up for that. You got into it. So what event did you do in the fall? Like, we had 300 people doing Pi Days,
Yeah.
because so we helped them do Pi Days. I don't think you did a Pi Day, right? Did you do a Pi Day with your first one?
No. So my son lives in South Carolina and we travel for the week of Thanksgiving and the week after. So I've always delivered cookies to all of my clients. And one of the local breweries here was having an event to support my nonprofit. And I asked if I could partner with her. And so I was able to invite people to attend that event. So we, our charity is always my charity. And I have a program, it's called an adoptive family program, where businesses will sponsor families and buy Christmas gifts for the children. And at my cookie event, people brought stocking stuffers for these families. And we had a huge, huge basket full of stocking stuffers. And then everybody that came, I bought their first drink and gave them cookies. And it was wonderful. I had a ton of people.
I was going to say, how many do you think you had to this event?
About 32, because she didn't want me to invite more than 50. She was afraid that we'd have too many people.
Yeah, that's okay. So 32, and you did what was the name of the event? It wasn't beer and cookies, was it? Because that's all you need. I'm just telling you that.
I know, right? Well, it actually, we partnered with her. So she had already named it Sip and Shop.
Okay.
So she had like a bunch of vendors there and people could do some Christmas shopping. And so we just went with that. And
I love it. Okay. So Sip and Shop. All right. So you had 32 people that attended. You bought their first drink. You also gave them cookies. And that is, I love that element of this, because there's this problem in real estate, in my opinion, of, we already in some cases become unpaid tourist guides, right? If we drive them around, show them houses, then they don't buy, we're unpaid tourist guides, essentially, right? Hopefully they end up buyers and hopefully they end up buying, but sometimes they don't. Well, we also don't want to be unpaid delivery drivers. Right. And that's what it is when we deliver cookies or we deliver, whatever it may be, to people's houses and things like that. It's like, well, if you have to deliver it and they didn't ask for it, do they really want it? And does it really have value? But the thing that I love about what you did is you had this event and they came to you and they got the cookies and they got the beer and they got the networking, right? So it was of enormous value to them, to the point where they would drive to you to do it. And you got a chance where if you're delivering them, you only have a chance maybe with a part of them to even have a conversation. But when they come to you, it's an event. So not only do they get to converse with you and you get to converse with them, they get to converse with other people who like you and know you and trust you and refer you, right? So many benefits to kind of reversing that whole concept of delivering it or taking it out. It's much more attractive if they're coming towards you, right?
Attract, not chase. Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, I got to go bottom line with it. How did you do from a referral aspect from the 32 that came?
Again, I'm so bad at tracking. I have a sticky note right there that says track my March results.
There you go.
But I will say that we did get some. My lender got a few. I only had 2 sponsors. So it was my lender and my insurance person for this one. I want to say the insurance person got maybe 5 referrals, and the lender 3 or 4, and myself, I believe I got 8 that time.
Yeah. I remember you reporting at our final session that you had gotten 8 referrals. I mean, out of 32 people, so 25% of them essentially gave you a referral. And I'm guessing that some of those were people who gave you multiple referrals. But I mean, really, your first ever event through Event Mastery, you got 8 referrals. Wow. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And here's the thing, right? For those of you that are perhaps new to the Referrals podcast, myself, Michael J. Maher, and also to our system, the Referral Mastery System, we have 3 components to that system. We have the 1 to none, which is self-mastery, and that is yourself. How you build yourself, your growth plan, your health plan, health, wealth, and happiness. And that is the self-mastery aspect. And that is one pillar. The second pillar is relationship mastery. And that is our one-to-one strategies and communication tips and how do you relate to others in a one-to-one environment? How is your buyer's consultation? How is your listing consultation? How's your initial consultation? How is your networking one-to-ones working out? So we need to master those. And of course, we help you with that, with the pillar of with relationship mastery, our one-to-one. And then the third one you just heard a tidbit from is event mastery. And this is a pillar that no other program has that I know of, and that is event mastery and the 1-to-many strategy. And event mastery is about our YAPs, the yearly appreciation plan and the yearly ambassador program for your top people. And you really need 2 programs. You need a program for everyone you know, and you need a program for the top people who are your top referral sources. We call them ambassadors and champions. So what's interesting is you just heard a little bit from the event mastery segment, but now we're going to jump back into self-mastery with our number 4 most downloaded episode of 2022. This was a really fun one to record with Jennifer Hanway, and the title is Mastering This One Little Habit Will Increase Your Income, Improve Relationships, Up Your Energy, Better Your Sex Life, and Better Your All Life. I will tell you that this was super fun. Episode 227 with Jennifer Hanway. Listen to it now. Reveal the secret right now. This is in my opinion, and I think Jennifer's right there with me. This is the most important habit in your life, and it is sleep. Would you agree, Jennifer?
I would want, even my body, when I hear that word sleep, my body just goes, like you're telling me to do something that I naturally want to do, that feels great, that I don't have to pay any extra money for. I don't have to stress myself out. Sleep is, and here's the thing, sleep is that groundwork for everything that we do when we eat well, everything that we do when we work out, everything that we do when we take our supplements, everything that we do when we take your courses. All of that stuff is pointless without sleep, because sleep is the time that solidifies that in the body.
Yeah, so let's go deeper into that, right? Why is sleep so important for our health, our productivity, our success, our mindset, everything? Why is it so important?
Yeah, so I'll ask you, and I'll ask your audience as well. Yeah. Do you charge your phone overnight?
Absolutely, 100%.
Because you want to wake up the next day and you want to turn that phone on, and we're all turning our phones on a little bit too early in the day, including me, but you charge your phone overnight because you want to wake up and you want your phone and all of your devices to be full of energy, ready to go. That's exactly what we need to think of. We need to treat ourselves with that same respect that we treat our phone. Because here's the thing, people think that sleep is a time that our bodies don't do anything. And that's absolutely wrong. Sleep is one of our body's busiest and most active and most metabolically active times, because all of our other physiological systems are downregulated. So it's our body's time to be able to digest the food that we've eaten, to detoxify and detoxify our body and our brains to do all of that repair. So it's really, that time is so important. All of those great habits that you do during the day, they're really worthless unless you take the time to get great sleep.
And that's exactly what I was talking about before with the ultimate morning ritual, right? Is I wrote a book called The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. I co-authored it with a friend of mine, Havel, and it was about the ultimate morning ritual. And I'm a huge believer in the morning ritual. And I've taught thousands of people to develop their own, not take mine. If they want to, they can, but help them develop everybody has a morning ritual. Everybody has a morning ritual.
Very true.
You know, so all we do is we take the one they have and we tweak it 1 degree, just a little bit. We're going to tweak it to make it a little bit better. And maybe the next time you take the course, you tweak it a little bit better. And before you know it, you know, you're doing everything that you want to do in the morning. And I tell them, and I'm telling you, is I can ruin it with one thing. And that's just not let you sleep the night before. If you go to bed too late, or you have a restless night of sleep, or there's, you know, whatever it may be that doesn't allow you to get enough sleep, your morning ritual is going to be awful, and your whole next day is going to be awful. If you really want to own the next day, you'll get to sleep on time, and you'll have a great night's sleep, you know? And I love how what you say next is, all right, you know, you need to have some nighttime habits and routines that you believe everyone that they should implement at night. So what are like 3 of these things that we need to do nightly that's going to assure that we sleep better and recharge that battery?
I think one of the things to even just to jump back a step and to think about it, and it can be, luckily we have moved on from the sleep when you're dead kind of mentality, but I think high achievers like yourself, like your audience, can find it so challenging to think, I'm going to waste 8 hours sleeping. We've all been there. I ask people to think of your nighttime, your sleep time, that 8 hours is not making up for anything that happened the day before. That's your pre-morning. So your sleep is part of that morning routine. Your sleep is your pre-morning. How can I use these 8 hours at night to be the best version of myself for when I wake up or when I jump into my miracle morning?
Love it.
So even just switching that, you know, if you struggle to think sleep is wasted time, I've got so much to do, think of sleep as a prep for the next day. I think that's really, really important. And then 3 things that I would say in terms of keeping those nightly rituals. And I know that you guys have the sweet dreams, which I'm so about building rituals and schedules, because then you get to a point where you almost can't do it. Once you've done it for a while, it becomes less of a habit and more ingrained in yourself. So I love that you guys have that. And what I would say is to think of this in a more holistic way. So I love to tell my clients and my audience, think about what you're eating in the evenings, and let's just try and finish eating a little bit earlier. So ideally 2 or 3 hours before we go to bed. We hear a lot in the wellness world about intermittent fasting. Personally, I don't think we necessarily need to be intermittent fasting, but we do need to be leaving 12 hours between finishing our evening meal, starting our breakfast.
Wow.
Because what that's going to do is that's going to help your body absorb and use all of those wonderful nutrients that you're putting in. Our digestion actually slows down just before we go to sleep. So what we want to do is we want to eat our evening meal. We don't want to snack afterwards. We want to give our body plenty of time to digest it, so our body can then use all of those components to repair, and then we detoxify. So eating your evening meal, shifting it a little bit earlier, that would be wonderful.
That's a pearl right off the bat. That is such a good advice. Now, is there an okay snack? Because I'm going to tell you, my family's going to ask me, and especially my 13-year-old son, right, who's basically, my nickname for him is Fire, because he devours everything, right? So he's in that process of, if you know, he does the nightly snacks, you know, he wants more food even after dinner. Is there anything that we can nibble on or and I'm guessing that like a donut is not the right answer. So.
I mean, to have the metabolism of a 13-year-old boy, right? They literally, like, they can just look at a pizza and they inhale it and it goes into their legs and forget about it. And the rest of us
burn up his energy. Right.
And the rest of us looks at a piece of pizza and we just put on 5 pounds. So for your 13-year-old son, it's a very different scenario than for us. And teenagers have a very, very different circadian rhythm as adults. So what's really challenging for teenagers is that actually their circadian rhythm actually wants them to stay up later and sleep in later. Problem is, schools are not recognizing that. The schools have them in, goodness me, if they're in sports, they can be in the gym at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. And these poor kids are trying to get to sleep early and they can't because their body clock's not set to that. For us, what we really want to think about is that if we are going to have something in the evening, try and keep it as close to dinner as we can. The reason being is so that we're getting that nice 12-hour gap in between finishing dinner and starting breakfast. If we are going to have something to nibble on after dinner, what I'd say, dark chocolate and dark chocolate covered almonds.
Are you kidding? You are here to make people happy.
There we go, right? Chocolate is actually
covered almonds.
There we go. So I'm telling you to sleep and eat chocolate.
Oh my God.
That's it. And I'll just tell you to sleep more and eat candy.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Everybody here is now. I'm telling you, it's great. So, let's just. One is the eating, right? I have to tell you, I love that. That's a unique take on all of it, and it makes a ton of sense. I love it.
And it's people are out there doing these 16-hour fasts and 18-hour fasts and 24-hour fasts and being miserable and cranky. And they don't need to do that. A good 12 or 14 hours overnight gets you all of those benefits of intermittent fasting without the hangry, the just being horrible to be around. I know if I don't eat, I'm horrible to be around. So that's number one.
Can you believe that? This was not scripted. There was no setup to this. This was not premeditated. Can you believe that another one of our top videos was about the nightly ritual? It's one of those where I have to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the nightly ritual got so many downloads in 2022. It's amazing. And I guess everyone needs a nightly ritual. And I would totally agree. I think everyone needs a nightly ritual. I believe that everybody needs a Sunday night ritual. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention to you that we are teaching 30evenings.com. We are teaching a nightly ritual mastery class that is part of our Referral Mastery Academy. You can join 30 evenings at 30evenings.com. Can you change your life in 30 evenings? Yes, you can. 30evenings.com. Check it out. I don't want this whole episode to sound like an ad for Referral Mastery Academy, but 30 evenings is part of Referral Mastery Academy. And 30 evenings is a game changer in and of itself. I teach it live. We have some great guests on who are people within the community who are implementing the Sunday night ritual at a high level, implementing the nightly ritual at a high level. Here's the thing is what if you could truly harness the power of a superpower like sleep? What if you could get the best possible sleep at night because you're so efficient, you're not worried about anything, you're fully ready to go to bed mentally and physically. And I'm just telling you, like I said, I don't want this thing to sound like such a big giant ad, but one of the things that changed my life was implementing a nightly ritual and a Sunday night ritual. The Sunday night ritual gets me so ready for the week. I'm so proactive. I understand what I need to wear, what the weather is going to be like, what the schedule looks like, what I need to add to the schedule, what I need to be doing. I feel more dangerous. I feel more assertive. I feel more efficient. I feel better. I feel like a superhero when I've got this fabulous Sunday night ritual that I implement, and then a nightly ritual to kind of just unwind from the day, review, and get ready for the next day. And it only takes 15 minutes. So that's what I love about the Sunday night ritual. We teach it live at night. It's before your nightly ritual would start. So you can kind of have the class after you've gone through your full day, and then you can start unwinding a little bit after the class and implementing the lessons of each class. And each class is only 30 minutes. So it's very quick, very powerful. Join us in 30evenings.com. Would love to have you. Just check it out. And for those of you that maybe want something more than just maybe 1 month of a mastery class, check out referralmasteryacademy.com and what we do in RMA. So that's the nightly ritual and the Sunday night ritual and what everybody has been talking about in 2022. That leads us to what's interesting in the next series of Referral Mastery Academy classes is something we call March Magic. And March Magic is a tip of the day that you implement, and it drives a referral. So you get 30 referral tips throughout the month of March, and we call it the March Magic Challenge. And so that leads us to our number 3 most downloaded episode of 2022. It is episode 231 with 2 of my favorite people in the world. It's Sarah Chatel, who talks about a charity of choice, and Stefani Havel, who goes through her world famous name game. And the title of the episode was The 1 Degree Tweak and March Magic, How to Bring the Magic Back in March. I'm telling you, this was a fantastic episode. You're going to love it just like I loved it. You're going to fall in love with these 2 women like I am too. Enjoy it. Here it is. We're talking about March Magic Challenge specifically, and we've had people, we've talked about, Jana Caudell talked about her story and how she's got now 14,000 people in a Facebook group. It started with a challenge, start your Facebook group. And she's gotten dozens and dozens of referrals from that. And we have all these stories, but I have to tell you, I love these 2 because anybody can do the 2 we're talking about today. So first of all, Sarah, give us a little preview of your challenge that people are going to do during the March Magic Challenge.
Michael, this is so easy. Like, there's no excuse not to do this. All you do is pick a charity, something that you feel passionate about. I have friends that volunteer with Alzheimer's. I particularly volunteer and build Atlanta habitat houses. So I felt like it's a good segue between real estate and habitat, and my team and I have built 14 homes. But you don't have to go that big. You can do something small, like reading in your local elementary school. A lot of times you can just do it on Zoom. So that's my challenge.
So we're going to pick a charity for 2022 to partner with and donate to. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I love it. I love it because, there are people who will work with you simply because you have partnered with a charity. They will choose you as their realtor or their lender or their CPA or financial planner just because they see your charitable element. They're like, well, you know what? When I use her services or his services, it's going to a worthy cause. I love that. So here's another part, and this is what I love about the March Magic Challenge. So many of our 30-day challenges are about the morning ritual, the nightly ritual, the whatever it may be. What I love about March Magic, each day is different. Each day is like going to the buffet and getting to pick this beautiful, whatever wonderful food that you want and trying it for a day. And so on the other side is Stefani, what is your daily challenge that you're going to challenge members of the March Magic Challenge to do during your day?
I am going to challenge all the March Magic people to play the name game. And what's great about it is it's a game that you don't need another player. You're the only person. It's a solo person name game.
Well, that sounds very interesting. I can't wait to hear more about that. So you had the opportunity to raise some money for Alzheimer's and do another charitable thing. So how'd that go?
Well, I was approached to be a dancer in the Dancing Stars of Atlanta for 2019. And because I like to dance, and this person that approached me also knows that I have a database of 6,000 people in Atlanta. And so they thought, oh, she could maybe raise some money. So they said, you have to raise $60,000. And I thought, there is no way I could do that. But hey, I'm strong and resourceful and I can do it.
It's strong and resourceful and helpful. That's literally
Yes.
Sarah, Sarah. I love it.
That's right.
I love it.
So I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but I actually used something Michael said in a coaching that I had with him.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be good.
I picked up my phone and I called the contacts in my phone. It was
a concept.
Like who'd know it would work. So I just called people. And when you are coming from contribution, I know you've heard this before, but I'm just repeating it in my words. When you come from contribution, people want to support you.
That's right.
So the reason I decided it and what my motivation is getting personal here. I was adopted and I know nothing about my medical history. And I thought, women in their 60s and 70s right now, 1 in 10 are getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Wow.
And I don't know, I wanted to make a karma deposit just in case it was in my genetic makeup, which I didn't know. And so I just put it out there to God and the universe. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I hope you're going to take care of me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That's part of God's reciprocation, right? We can talk about that on another show.
It was so fun. It was a surprising event because at the end I raised $115,000 for Alzheimer's.
Jeez.
And and it was in May. So December was at zero. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So I started posting on social media and it was funny. $25 would come in, $10, $50. And that old 80-20 rule, 80% of my business came from contributions that were $100 or below.
Wow. 20%
of my business came from big donors, like 10,000. Yeah. I had 2 foundations that made up for 20% of my business.
Yeah.
So in business, I mean, in my charitable
115,000. Yeah. That's
right.
an incredible number.
Well, the number of doors that opened to me after that was unbelievable. I was honored with the Good Neighbor Award with the Atlanta Realtors. Then I was honored in the Modern Luxury magazine. And then from that, the Atlanta Realtor Board invited me to be an emerging leader. So I just graduated from their class of 2021. And anyway, I could go on, but
I want to go back to the results. All right. So I'm going to come back to you. Like, what has it done for your business? This 1 degree tweak, you just decided to partner with a charity. What are the results been? And we're going to come back to that. So, Stefani, what's the name game? What are we going to do here? What do I need to get started?
Well, you need a first name.
Whoa! What? I love it.
Yes, the name game. It's a mindset system that I created that helps each and every person kind of break through some limiting self-beliefs, help you transform your thinking. So the concept behind it is coming up with words and phrases of affirmation using the letters of your name.
Okay.
So
how do I do it?
All right. So, oftentimes we kind of struggle. We're at networking events and we talk to people and we're just not feeling confident about who we are. And we struggle to find things that we like about ourselves or that we're good at. And so by using the letters of your name, it really, one, kind of forces you to really think about those words and phrases that you want to define you. And then it's your name. It's the letters of your name. Nobody else has it. There's other Stefanis out there. There's other Sarahs. There's other Michaels. But there's no other Stefani like me. And there's no other Stefani that's going to choose the exact same words that I choose to describe not only how I see myself, but how I want others to see me and how I want to kind of live out my life. You talk in the book, Michael, about, use the acronym FLY, which is first love yourself. And that's where I really feel that affirmations in the name game comes into play, is learning to fly. And it's stop talking to yourself and start listening to yourself, right? Instead of listening to those complaints and fears and the doubts in your head, start talking to yourself about words of truth and empowerment and positivity.
Powerful. So what I'm doing is I wrote down my name And then I want to use adjectives or descriptive words or even phrases for each of the letters of my name. So like M would be maybe motivational. And I'm doing this
Motivational,
off the cuff.
magical,
Inspiring,
magnificent,
right? C for cute,
charming,
cute,
charismatic.
charismatic. H would be helpful. That was easy. A would be awesome because I am, right? Maybe excellent. And and I've done this before, and I think none of these words were words I used then. And then
Well, and
L
that's what's great
is
about it.
learning based or learner.
Lifelong learner. I know some people have
Yeah.
used. So yeah, you can use phrases as well. You know, sometimes people say a certain letter isn't coming to them. You know, I can just quickly share with you, you know, my name is Stefani. It's, you can see on the screen, spell Stefani. I'm strong, talented, energetic, fierce, amazing, never quits, inspiring.
Boom.
And I share, you know, my words sometimes change, but it's always my name that I can easily reference for my affirmations. When I'm at the gym, I'm strong, I'm tough, I'm enough, I'm fit, I'm fabulous, I'm awesome, not quitting, and I got this. A lot of times,
Dude, that was an affirmation for the gym that she just did right there. That if you weren't paying attention, that literally could have just been a whole, like, I mean, you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember little Jessica that was up on the sink?
Yeah.
And she was like, I am tough enough, I am good enough, I am brave enough, I am, you know, and my mommy loves me, right? And it's like, boom. It was just like, I love, and this is your name, right? I mean, you literally rattled that off. That was fantastic. So I appreciate that. Isn't it amazing how the little things matter the most and the little things make the biggest difference sometimes? It's a 1-degree tweak. And I know that many of us are changing things in our life with the new year. And some people just overdo it. They tend to just go straight to, you know, they don't take it easy and you get overwhelmed. You can overwhelm the senses. I will tell you that I know people that teach the morning ritual and they have their people get up at 5 a.m. And these are people that have been getting up at 7:30 a.m. or 8 a.m. or even 9:30 a.m. Well, when they change to getting up every day at 5 a.m., they just break. It just overwhelms the senses. It's not, once the enthusiasm runs out after 2 or 3 days, they get sick, they get lethargic, they feel awful, they get depressed. Well, why? Because it's too much. It's just too much. So our suggestion is the 1-degree tweak. And that is, if you're going to change the time that you get up and you want to get up earlier, let's say you want to get up an hour earlier, well, do this, change for 15 minutes for the first week, and then change for 15 minutes the second week, and then change for 15 minutes the third week. And the fourth week, you have now reached your goal of getting up an hour earlier, the 1-degree tweak. And in many cases, it's just don't try to do too much. I will tell you, some of the best advice I ever got from my mom was take it easy. And when I was younger, I didn't like that advice. Like, you know, mom, you know, it's mom, like, what does she know? You know, so I drive. And sometimes it would lead to injury. Sometimes it would lead to, you know, roughed up relationships because I just was so committed. And so, you know, sometimes I can be a little bit like a sunlight, you know, just come on too strong. And, you know, I will tell you that one of the best advice I ever got was take it easy. And I encourage all of you to take it easy and understand that it's about the 1-degree tweak. Just change something slightly each and every day along your way. And, you know, a great example of that is working out. You know, some of you are, hopefully I'm not too late with this advice. You know, some of you like got into your New Year's resolutions and you know, you're doing 100 push-ups a day or whatever, you can't even move now. And it's like, hey, if your goal is to do 100 push-ups a day and you're doing none, then maybe you do 25 the first day. And then you do maybe 25 the second day. And then you do 35 the third day. And you just add 5 each day. If you add 5 each day, you know, at the end of 20 days, you're doing 100 and it's easy. So I'm just saying, it's one of those where we need the 1-degree tweak, which is amazing because the number 2 most downloaded episode of 2022 was a surprise to me, but it shouldn't have been because it was such a great episode. And it was actually with Sheri Maher, one of my favorite people on earth, of course. And Sheri Maher and myself did Isn't It Time Someone Put the Law of Attraction in Its Place? And we did during that episode. You can check it out right here. Here's the thing that I love about today's session is you're an expert on this. And what's funny is that a lot of time, here's the thing, what I don't want people to do is discount today's episode because you're my wife or you're related to me or whatever it may be, right? I don't think they will, but it's like Sheri is an expert on what we're talking about today. She has taught the class on this many, many times to raving reviews. And it sounds like we need to make it a part of Sweet Dreams the more that we're talking to people. But what we're talking about today, Sheri, are vision boards. So I want to, and vision boards, is such vision board. So what the heck is a vision board? First of all, let's define what we're talking about today.
Yeah, well, I think in its simplest term, a vision board is just it's an actual visual representation of your future. I think it's your ideal future. It's where you want to go. I think it gives you something to work towards. But I think the other thing that I love about it is that it's artwork. It's your artwork. It's your creativity. It's you. And so there's no right or wrong, to it. It's you. It's a part of you.
Yeah, this evokes there was a documentary or a movie called The Secret that came out probably 20 years ago now. And in the movie, they had a gentleman by the name of Asaroff, John Asaroff wrote several books. One was called The Answer and a few other books. And he talked about his experience with a vision board. He actually put together a vision board and basically put it away. And then it came to behold, like 5 years later, they had moved into a new house and they're unpacking the boxes from his old office. And his son is there and is like, "What's this, Daddy?" Right? And what's interesting is John had like tons of books, tons of things in the office. But the child was attracted to the pictures that caught his eye. And he was like, "What's this, Daddy?" And John looked at it and he literally like started crying. He literally like just went like that and just teared up because on his vision board from 5 to 10 years before, he had a picture of his dream home, and the home they had just bought and moved in was the exact same house that he had on his vision board. And he didn't even know when he put the picture of the vision board house, he didn't even know it was in California. He didn't even know the address. He didn't even know what house it was. But it was the house that he literally had just bought after moving from the Midwest. And just a huge, powerful belief in, vision boards and telling the universe, tell God, tell your future, what you want in it. And in this case, it was the house that drew him towards that house, and he ended up buying. He still lives it. I've actually had the opportunity to have dinner at the house and tour through it. And I've seen the vision board with the house in it in the house that he bought, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it was right after that, like the very first time I saw The Secret. And the very first time I did this, I didn't actually make the vision board, but instead what I did was I wrote out in detail, like our goals and how I envisioned us. And this was back before 7L when we had just a real estate team, and I wrote out like my perfect day, but I wrote it out. It was like 2 pages long, like from, like getting up in the morning and how I walked on our heated tile floor in the bathroom, to I drove to work in my new car, and I could still smell the new leather, the new car smell, the new leather interior on the inside. And I walked into our team office and was greeted by our receptionist and just all this stuff. And we didn't have any of that. At the time, like we had
no a 200,000 mile Honda Accord that would break down every so often, very unpredictably.
Yeah.
It is amazing how much you will thank God every time you start the car in the morning and it actually starts, right?
Yeah. But it was crazy. And so I wrote out this thing, and gosh, and then like years later, I was going through and I was actually transferring documents from one laptop to a new laptop. I had gotten a new laptop, and I found this document called My Day. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I go back and I'm reading it, and I was like, oh my God, like this document just described the day I just had. And like we had moved into a house, and we had put, when we built it, we had put, remember the heated tile floors we put in? I had to like have a whole long conversation with you on that. And then
I didn't even know they existed.
We had our like that's when we had the Jaguar, and I wrote, and we had our own team office at that point, and we had our like the best receptionist ever at the front desk, and it was so weird. I took the document and I emailed it. I remember I emailed it to you. So I was in our bedroom and you were like downstairs watching TV, and I emailed it to you, and I remember you emailed me back and you're like, great review of your day. And I'm like, look at when I wrote this document.
Because it said My Day, right? It said My Day. And I was
I wrote this document like 5 years ago. And you were like, what?
Yeah, this was even before The Secret came out, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was awesome. And another great example is like, the first thing that you, anytime you teach something, is you have to talk about why. Why am I learning this? Why should you do a vision board? And for me, I had this dream of having a Porsche. I had kind of your older Porsches back in the day, but when I started selling real estate, I had some success the first year, and the second year I was very, very aggressive with this, and I had some really lofty goals. And I said, all right, if I achieve this goal, then I'm going to get myself a Porsche, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked through, and I honestly, there's red and there's yellow, and those are very like bold and exciting colors. And then, the one I actually picked was a silver. It's a little more subtle, in my opinion. It was a little more classy, right? And it had a navy blue top with navy blue interior, so a rich like navy blue. And so that was the one that I cut out and put on my master bedroom mirror. And I literally had that taped to my mirror all year long, worked. And then Sheri came to me in October of that year and said, hey, listen, you've achieved your goals for the year. You got it, so you can get your car. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, we're going to pay cash for a car. That, like, what? And then it was like, all right, we got to find that car. We got to, and it had grown on me, right? And here's the thing. We went out looking and
couldn't find
lots of red ones, lots of yellow ones, black ones. There were some silver ones, but they had black tops and black interiors. And trust me, if you live in Kansas, you're trying to avoid the black interior as much as you can, especially during the summer. And so literally for 2 months, could not find it. Could not find this Porsche Boxster S that I wanted. And, so you kind of just like, you look, but you're not crazy about it. Well, I'm telling you, sometimes these stories, they become stranger than, truth is stranger than fiction kind of deal. We're driving on I-35 in Olathe, Kansas. Because when you are in real estate, you drive on every road in Kansas. Well, we're driving, and Sheri goes, there's your car. And I thought she meant like on the other side of the highway or, up on, or whatever. She goes, no, it's over there. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, it's at the dealership.
And not only that, I'm like, it's at McCarthy Chevrolet.
Yeah. So literally we pull over and take the exit. And we took the exit and went on this little frontage road where there was this, the mini car dealerships. And it ended up, it was at McCarthy Chevrolet, and pulled in, and there was a silver Boxster with navy blue top, navy blue seats. And so we keep going with this, right? So I go up to it. It's not even clean yet. It's literally just sitting in the parking lot. And the guy comes out and he really wanted to sell me a Corvette. But all I was interested in was this silver. And they had just gotten it in trade-in that day from an 80-year-old guy who traded it in, and it hadn't even been cleaned yet. It hadn't been serviced. It literally had been on the lot for a few hours. And we saw it and we bought it right there, drove it out. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it was like, you want to talk about great cars? That car was one. I mean, we've had a lot of great cars, but that car, no service.
That was definitely your favorite.
Change the oil once a year, and that son of a gun was. And when I got new tires put on it, it was just like, and convertible. So anyway, I'm reminiscing here a little bit. But the thing about it was, here's what's cool about, even if you don't go to the full, I won't say extreme of doing a full vision board, you can do parts of this and reach your goals. Mm-hmm. And it helps you reach your goals. And the other part of it too is that, here's what's interesting. Please notice that I didn't see the car at McCarthy Chevrolet. Sheri did. So when you put a vision up there and you share, then other people will help you achieve your goal, and they will help you achieve your vision. But if I had never put that picture on the thing, Sheri may not have ever known that this was like the car that I wanted, or even that I wanted a car at all as a reward for achieving my goals. So, the why is, guess what? You're going to probably achieve your goals faster, but you're also going to get help achieving them if you will just put it out there on a vision board or out where people can see it. That was fantastic. And there's something special about seeing that one of the top downloaded episodes is with myself and Sheri. There's just something really cool about that. I love it. And she deserves so much of the credit because she is the producer, engineer, and editor of Referrals podcast, usually behind the scenes, working her rear off to produce this each and every week on Tuesday. It comes out every Tuesday morning. And she rocks it. And this podcast would not exist if it wasn't for her. So it's really cool to see her up front and on the screen. And you get a little bit of a chance to enjoy her as I get to every single day. So I love that. And that leads us to this one. And this was by far the number one most downloaded episode of Referrals podcast, one of the most downloaded episodes of all time on Referrals podcast. We're talking, it compares with episodes 1 through 10, where I totally laid out a lot of the referral mastery system. I encourage you to check out episodes 1 through 10, 1 through 12. And now this one is right up there with those in downloads. How amazing and incredible is that? And it makes sense in a lot of ways because of how he shared his message. The number one most downloaded episode of 2022 is with Jim Godwin out of Kansas City, of all places, Jim Godwin. And he talks about the one thing that exploded his business. And this is the one thing that you have to put into place in your business in 2023. Check out the episode right here.
We could talk about this further, but that ties into my need to do event mastery and work with referrals.
Great segue. That's what I want to talk about next is, you know, the REO world is pretty dried up and not too many REOs out there anymore. And we're fast forwarding. It's 2021 and you're building your business and you decided to take a class that we have called Event Mastery class. And what made you decide to do the class? I mean, I want to know, like, how did you find us? How did you find Referco and Michael J. Maher and everything that we do?
Originally, it was from a mentor of mine. You know Jesse Zagorski?
Yeah, oh yeah. How do you forget a Zagorski? Right?
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine. We were in the REO business a long time together, and we're semi-business partners now. And he, maybe 2 years ago now, sent me your book. And so read through the book, joined Generosity Generation, started connecting in the group, connecting with other members, asking, you know, what the gateway forward is, and event mastery kept coming up and coming up and coming up.
Yeah, I love that. And so welcome to the Generosity Generation. And I love the sequence of that, because I think that's a fairly common sequence. And off the air, I would love for you to send me Zagorski's info.
Sure.
I'm gonna follow up with a thank you of some sort, just leading to this moment, right? So would love to express my appreciation on that. Being in Kansas City, I had to ask that question because I'm just curious, because that's where we were, right? So, all right. So you sign up for Event Mastery class. What were some of the things that was going through your mind before Event Mastery class? Like, were there some doubts or hesitations or some fears, or, you know, had you done events before?
I had done a couple of events, like housewarming parties for clients that have sold, but without the proper systems in place, and it just it was fine, but it didn't go like it could have gone. Mm-hmm. So really, I mean, the biggest reason that I wanted to get into this is that, you know, this is why being an REO is a blessing and a curse, is that I've sold over 1,000 REOs, and my database is like nothing, right? Because it's not people, right? Yeah. And most of them, you're not selling to your own buyers. So I spent all of those years selling all of that property and not maintaining a database that I could use in the future. Mm-hmm. My biggest regret in real estate so far.
Yeah.
After 16 years, it's my biggest regret, not having a database. And so I knew that I needed to switch into traditional real estate, and I knew I needed a way to be able to create a referral and attraction-based business, because that's my passion now, creating a fully attraction-based referral business. And Event Mastery kept coming up, and it's something that I was really, really interested in doing, and I knew that it would be helping me grow.
Awesome. All right. So we take Event Mastery, and for those of you that aren't familiar, there's essentially 5 sequences within Event Mastery. I teach 7 classes, but they essentially fit under 5 sequences. One is a planning sequence, which makes a lot of sense. Then you have an invitation sequence, confirmation sequence, event sequence, the actual day of the event, and then you have the follow-up sequence. And so I think let's just go through. And before I do that, what was your biggest aha from Event Mastery class? Like, what was number one before we drop into the individual sequences? What was the thing you were blown away the most by Event Mastery class?
I had this mental block that this is not something that I could do. That it was too difficult and time consuming. and I wouldn't get any people there. I have had tons of doubt and fear regarding of doing events, because like in my mind, the biggest, the worst thing that could happen is that I put this whole thing together and put months and months into planning it, and no one shows up, and I look like a fool.
Yeah, I get it. That's one of the people's biggest fears, is nobody would show up. But I keep telling people that might be the best thing for you, because it doesn't cost you anything if nobody shows up. So there's a whole way of maybe looking at that differently. But I totally get it. People want to, they want to throw a party. They want people to show up for their party, right?
Yeah. And I've since learned that it makes no difference who shows up.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting?
But my biggest aha is that it's so much easier than I thought it could be.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
And much more fun.
Yeah.
Much more fun. In my mind, it was this difficult thing that was going to be really challenging, that I wasn't going to enjoy. And it ended up being completely different. The exact opposite.
That's awesome. And that's honestly, if there's anything that I would want someone to say after Event Mastery class, is that it's easier and more fun than I thought. Because it is, it's easier than you think to get a lot of referrals. That's the thing that I think everybody's like, well, it takes forever to get a referral from a relationship. No, it doesn't. Like, we have systems in place to get referrals from strangers, right? So I think, all right, so let's talk about planning. You were planning out your event. What were some keys, or if you were going to give advice to the audience, like they're planning for an event, what are some keys that you learned, or some words of wisdom that you would give them for the planning part of the event?
Start early.
Mm-hmm.
Start early and section off the event into 2-week sections, and don't think of it as something that you have to complete all at once. Mm-hmm. That's really the biggest thing in the planning phase, is to not get overwhelmed and just take little chunks at a time, little chunks of things, and do them.
I think you hit it on the head with start early. Yeah. Which is what is one of the biggest mistakes I see out there is people hear that they should be doing events in their business plan. And I'm not talking about just real estate agents. I'm telling you, I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of corporate, where they're like, we should do events. And it's like, let's do an event in 2 weeks. And then they do an event in 2 weeks, and it's a lot of stress. It's really freaky. It's just added work to everything else they're doing. And it doesn't go as well, or afterwards they're so exhausted. They're like, I don't care if it worked or not. I'm so out of energy that I never want to do it again. And that's what happens to a lot of real estate agents who do one event a year, is they break their team essentially trying to put on this event. And it's so much more on top of, and it's short notice, that it becomes a pain in the butt. Whereas, you know what, you give yourself 8 weeks, it's just gonna go a lot better. You can break it down into each week and break down what you got to do each week. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. Our 10 most downloaded episodes of 2022. And by the way, I know you're going to want to listen to the full episodes of all of those. The links to the full episodes will be in the notes section, and you'll want to go back and listen to those entire episodes. And here's the thing. We are all about making you the star of this podcast. So if you are someone that should be on the podcast, or you have a referral for someone that should be a guest, please let us know by shooting a quick email at podcast@referco.com. You can also give us feedback there. You can also let us know any suggestions for content or topics in the future. That's podcast@referco, referco.com. If you like our podcast, we would always appreciate a rating and a review, as every time you do this, it helps for our podcast to be found by others. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week on Referrals Podcast. We have a great guest lined up. I can't wait for you to hear it. Also, I want to invite all of you to join the Generosity Generation. That's joingengen.com. It is our global referral community. That's where I got the person to refer this to. This is a real estate referral that I'm referring out to Florida. And how did that happen? It happened because of the Generosity Generation. So check it out at joingengen.com. Please join us. Let us know that the podcast was the reason that you found it, and we will let you into our private Facebook group, the GenGen Generosity Generation. Joingengen.com. Also, for more information on all of our episodes and the downloads that typically come with Referrals Podcast, check it out at referralspodcast.com, and check us out next week as we share with you our latest and greatest episode of Referrals Podcast. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.